Big ideas and voices clear. CXXP X2, bringing the best straight to you. X-Engage, turn the page, ignite the stage. Learn, grow, feel the spark, make every moment leave a mark.
Hi, I'm Debi Potgieter, a certified customer experience professional with over 30 years of experience in all things CX. Welcome to the X-Engage podcast, where we bring you insights from industry C experts, exploring actionable strategies to elevate customer experience and drive real business impact. Whether you're a CX leader, practitioner, professional, or just passionate about customer experience, this podcast is for you. Let's dive in. Service excellence is shaped in the moments that customers remember, the moments that build trust, deepen loyalty, and define reputation. Today, I have the distinct pleasure of welcoming one of the defining voices in customer service and experience, Shep Hyken. Shep, it's a real privilege to have you with us.
It is such an honor to be here. What are you talking about? We're from all the way on the other side of the world.
Exactly, here in South Africa, and you are in?
The middle of the United States, St. Louis, Missouri.
Oh, wonderful. I've been an avid follower of your work for some time, your books, especially The Cult of the Customer, and we'll talk a little bit
love
about
that book. It's a great book.
Yes, and your podcasts as well. I found them on Apple Music and YouTube. But especially, Shep, your gift for storytelling. So to have this conversation with you is a genuine privilege. Thank you very much.
Well, it's my pleasure. My pleasure. So I bet we're going to talk today about customer experience.
Correct. And I would like to begin somewhere very human, because all of us know what great service feels like. Well, we certainly know what poor service feels like. So I would like to ask you to think of an example of a truly exceptional customer experience. What makes it memorable? And do you have an example for us?
Sure. I think the key is to create the experience that is memorable. If I am hired to do a keynote speech, oftentimes they'll ask, what's your walk-on music? You know, the music that plays as you're walking on stage. And I say, Bonnie Raitt's song, Let's Give Them Something to Talk About. And that's what we're trying to do, is create that memorable experience that people will talk. By the way, I guess they would talk about a bad experience too, but we want to create the one that makes people say, I'll be back. And so there's average, and what I refer to average is a good or satisfactory experience. I refer to that as the fine experience, F-I-N-E. And if that were an acronym, F would be the fake smile. How is everything? It's fine. Okay, fine is not that great, right? I is insincere because I'm smiling, but really I don't care about you. And N is I don't think I'm ever coming back. So N stands for never coming back. And E is emotionless. You haven't created the experience that makes me connect with you, or at least starts the relationship that makes me want to come back. So you asked me for an example that's memorable. And so one that I often share still even today, even though I told this story hundreds of times in my speeches, there was a taxi cab driver, and this guy was amazing. It was the end of the day, and he was worn out, and it had been the hottest day of the summer, and he was drenched in sweat, and he had a wrinkled shirt and messed up hair. And I thought, I'm going to get into this taxi cab. It's going to be like a moving sauna, because it's the hottest day of the summer, and look at him. There's no air conditioning in there. And it turned out the cab was spotlessly clean. He had this nice demeanor about him. He offered me a newspaper to read in a taxi cab. He offered me candy. He offered me a bottle of water or a soda. And I thought to myself, wow. And he charged the same rate anybody else charged. And on the way to the airport, we had a little nice, engaging conversation. And when we got to the airport, he asked me for a business card, because he said he collects the cards of the people that he drives. And I thought, sure. And then he gave me his and told me to call him the next time I came back. Now, little did I know, he had a reason more than just collecting business cards. because 4 days later, I'm sitting in my office here in St. Louis, Missouri, after that trip, and I get a thank you note from the taxi cab driver, which, by the way, you can't see it, but in my other office, there is a, a framed pic. It's actually the actual card framed to remind me that even the simple job of a taxi cab driver, something that you would not expect would be all that great, can be great. You can show appreciation. And this is what made me want to come back. And I couldn't wait to come back and do business with him again. And every time I'd go back to Dallas, Texas, where he lived until he retired, he would drive me around. That's a great example and very memorable. And by the way, the extra kicker, that thank you note. Wow, who gets a thank you note from a taxi cab driver? Yeah.
What an incredible story. And I love the acronym FINE. And this taxi driver story was way, way not that. It's remarkable, Shep, how these moments stay with us because people will forget the transaction, but they don't forget how you were made to feel. And from what your story is, you were delighted right throughout from the very beginning because you thought you were going to be climbing into a sauna, and yet you were treated like a superstar you are.
Yeah.
So
Well, and here's something else. You use the word transaction. And unfortunately, that's what many experiences are. They're transactions. And our goal is to move from transaction to interaction because an interaction means it's just part of something bigger. You're interacting along the way. And I would love if everybody would think that the first experience they have with a customer is the beginning. It starts out transactional, but we move it to interactional because it's the beginning of the relationship. Because we do want to create the experience where people come back. I'm going to share with you an idea about loyalty. I don't know if you plan to ask me about it or not. And if you
I do,
did,
but
uh,
let's go in.
let's get right into it. So everybody thinks, the goal is customer loyalty, get a customer to come back and keep them forever and ever. And that's a daunting goal. That's a big goal. And when you lay that on somebody, they go, well, that's a huge responsibility. How do I go about this? And the secret is not to think about it as a lifetime. Just think about it for next time. What am I doing right now? And this is what I call the loyalty question, is the way I'm interacting. What am I doing right now with this customer, client, patient, resident, guest, whatever you want to call them? Am I doing right now something that will make that person come back the next time they need whatever it is that I sell? I'm focusing on right now for the next time, not for the lifetime. And when you do this again and again, next time becomes another next time and another next time, and eventually it will become a lifetime. So manage for the moment with the idea you're just trying to get to the next step, not the lifetime. And so even though it is about a lifetime, think about it as the next time, every time.
It is beautifully said, and I love, love, love the way you use the word interaction. We do work for XMY Solutions, and our tagline, our purpose is to make every interaction count. No matter
Yes.
the interaction, it's make it count because it's in that moment that it can become a moment of magic. And you talk about these moments of magic and moments of mediocrity and moments of misery in one of the podcasts I listened to. And that language captures exactly why certain experiences stay with us.
Well, in my very first speech I ever did, and this is decades ago, 1983. Okay, I know I look much younger than I am.
You do.
1983, I do a speech and I talk about moments of misery and moments of magic. And I've been talking about it ever since. In every single speech I do, even if you have me back 10 times for the same audience, I always give them the quick refresher. Remember, and by the way, the misery is obvious. It's bad. Moment of magic is anything that's good. It can be a little bit good or a big, big, huge over the top experience. But the third moment of truth you must remember about is that one that's fine. And that's that moment of mediocrity that you just mentioned. Mediocrity isn't necessarily bad. It's just average or satisfactory. And given the opportunity to do business elsewhere, customers will choose anything that's better than just okay. So even though a customer doesn't complain, doesn't mean you hit it out of the park, doesn't mean you've created that moment of magic. You may have just created an average experience. So our goal, and there's many little different things that we can do that we have total control over to make that customer want to come back. So our goal is to create a moment of magic. And again, magic doesn't mean over the top. It just means a little bit better than okay. Or anything from that too over the top.
Love it. There are still many companies out there, Shep, that speak about service as though it sits alongside the business rather than in the heart of it. And the question to you is, why does service excellence matter so much more than many leaders still seem to realize? In your book, one of my colleagues said, Debbie, look at page 17, and I'm just holding it up there for a second. And
What does it say there?
do you need this book? And you
Oh, do you
say,
need this?
yes. And you say, if your world revolves around customers, you need this book. And our world does. Every
Yeah.
business revolves around.
Without a customer, you don't have a business. I think I even wrote in there the Steve Blank quote. A professor from Stanford University said something like, without a customer, you don't have a business.
Thank you very much. And so, how can it sit alongside the business when it should be the heart, the thread, the fabric, the culture of the business?
So the culture, that to me is where it all starts. And I realized since I wrote that book, Cult of the Customer, it's been probably 10, 12, 13 years, something like that. Things evolve and they get better. And the more I have a chance to share and work with clients. So I now have a 5-step process that we take our clients through. And I'll share with you what that is. Is it 5? I'm sorry, it's 6 steps. 6. I call it, in some place, I call it the 6 Ds. And D is, and I've come up with a word that starts with a D. But here's the point. If a client comes to me and says, we really need to be more customer focused, or even we are doing real well, we need to retain it. And it just seems to be happening naturally. Don't let it happen by mistake or naturally, because that is a mistake. Because if you don't relentlessly focus on it and remind people about it, one day it's going to just kind of fall off to the wayside. So here's what happens. And this is straight out of that book, Cult of the Customer. You create a mantra. The mantra is a 1-sentence phrase that defines the vision of customer experience for you. I use the Ritz-Carlton as an example in the book, where it's 9 words long. We're ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen. And when you come to work at the Ritz-Carlton, you are taught that, and then you are trained to deliver on that. So we want every client to come up with their version of a mantra that works for them. 1 sentence, easily remembered, that you can teach people, and they'll remember it. And so you walk up to somebody 6 months from now and say, what's her mantra, or what's her customer experience vision? And they'll have it. So that's where it all starts. And that, by the way, begins with leadership. So here's what happens. Number 1, you define the experience, create that mantra. Number 2, you communicate it. And it's a regular cadence, reminding people all the time. Number 3, you train everybody to it. Even people behind the scenes need to know what their part is in the whole customer experience. When I read a book back I read an article in early 1980 by Jan Carlson, the former president of Scandinavian Airlines. He eventually wrote a book titled Moments of Truth. And in that book, he made it real clear. If you're not directly supporting a customer, you support somebody that is, or you're supporting the process that is going to eventually be felt by the customer. If you don't, then chances are you're going to be out of a job, because there's relevance. Everything you do is focused on building that company and making customers want to buy and then come back. All right. So with that in mind, you train everybody to the business and they're part of the business and how they impact the experience. Number 4, as leaders, we must model the behavior. Number 5, as leaders, we must keep everyone in alignment. So if one person's out of alignment, coach them back into alignment. If it's a department or if it's a large organization, maybe it's a division or a region, then work with them, because here's what happens. Your reputation is only as strong as your weakest link. So everybody has to be in alignment. Otherwise, the one person or group that's not, if I'm dealing with that particular group of people, guess what I think of the entire company? And then finally, number 6, when it works, you delight in it, you celebrate it, you let people know they're doing a good job. So number 1, you define it. Number 2, you communicate. Number 3, you train to it. Number 4, you act as a role model. Number 5, keep everyone in alignment. Number 6, you celebrate it. There you go. 6.
Stunning. And that's when it really stops becoming a nice to have and an absolute must have business driver. But Shep, there's also the cost of getting things wrong. So, do you have an example or an experience where things really did go wrong and the company may have now turned things around, but it's important to know what bad looks like if we want to
Yeah.
express what great looks like too.
I'm going to put my glasses on for a moment and I'm going to look at my research. Every year we do our customer service and experience research, the state of customer service and CX, which, by the way, this research is free of charge. Just go to my website, hyken.com, click on the research link. You don't even need to give me an email address to get it. It's automatic. Now, the top 10 reasons why customers don't come back. Number one, rudeness or apathy. It's like this personal experience I'm having with somebody is not good. But once we get past that, inconsistent information, the nobody returning messages, the company doesn't value time, the inability to connect with somebody from customer support. This happens when you can't get out of a loop of a chat bot or some type of a virtual IVR or whatever. The overall a bad experience, which I was surprised people would write that in, and that comes in as number six. I thought that would be at number one, but inconsistency and the complaint requires multiple interactions. It took a lot to get it fixed. The repetition of having to explain it again and again, being transferred multiple times, long wait times, which indicates you don't care about me as a customer, and then slow responses to emails and any other type of message. These are pretty common sense ideas that you can easily fix by creating a standard that you live by and say, look, a phone call gets returned within X amount of time. Emails return within 1 business day or even sooner. There was a client that I worked with that said, our goal is to return every message, regardless of the channel it comes in on. Phone, they don't wait on hold for more than X number of minutes, but if they go outside of that, we will respond within 20 minutes. And a super goal is 10 minutes. Wow. Imagine that. I think I'm going off tangent. Am I giving you the information that you want?
100%. We actually call them our service excellence essentials, those
Right.
minimum standards that we require in order for us to do business. Beyond that is where you create the magic.
Right.
So you're absolutely on point. One of the things I'm especially interested is in how these principles, standards, concepts translate across different markets. So, Shep, when
Mhm.
you look at Africa as an emerging market more broadly, what stands out to you about our customer expectations? How do we navigate complexity and friction and inconsistency across an African market? Do you have any experience or thoughts on that, perhaps?
Right. I do. And it's not even just the African market, it's anytime I'm asked to speak internationally. But you just said a couple of things that I think are real important. You mentioned the word friction. I believe you just said that.
Yes.
This is what you're trying to eliminate. So, somebody put me through an exercise recently that was very eye opening. And I actually wrote about this in a recent article. They said, Shep, what is the problem that you solve? And I said, customer experience. And they go, no, no, no. That's the solution. I thought about it. Wow. Why would somebody want to hire me? They want to get better at customer experience. Well, that's fine. That is a result. That's a goal. But what's the real problem? And the problem comes down to, and you use this word as well, it's inconsistent. Okay. And we need to solve for that. But really, what the ultimate goal is, and the true problem is churn, and that's turnover. It's customers not coming back. So if you want to look at it as a more positive way, retention is really the ultimate solution. That's what we're solving for. And what causes that retention problem or the lack of retention is an inconsistency. And that inconsistency could be occasionally there's friction. Sometimes I wait, sometimes I don't. I go online and sometimes the chat bot gets the answer right and sometimes it doesn't. And then I'm forced to talk to a human, which I wanted to do in the first place, but then I get put on hold for a long time. And it's this experience that I have that just, it's up and down. One time it might be good. You got to get rid of inconsistencies. And then ultimately that will drive your CX. So, those are just a few thoughts. I mean, you said something there. Now, I don't know. You had another question there, and I kind of derailed it. I went down the
I love
squirrel. There's a squirrel. There's a bird. Get
I'm a
distracted.
squirreler too, and the team is probably going to watch this and kill themselves laughing because they tell me I squirrel too, but you squirreled in the right place because what is so
Squir-
interesting for
I've
me,
never heard squirrel used as a verb. I like this. Do you squirrel in the right places? Yes, I
and
do.
you do, Shep. Yeah. What
Thank
I
you.
really like is the fundamentals of service excellence and customer experience, trust, responsiveness, acknowledgement, ownership, doing the job and doing it better than what the customer expects. Those are universal, irrespective of what market you come from or environment. It's around the emotional needs of the customer and how you show up consistently for them by removing friction. But every organization gets it wrong from time to time. And the issue is then what happens? When something goes wrong, how do we pick ourselves up? How do we recover? In your view, what makes service failure recoverable? And how could you change that from the
Sure.
reputation damage into something that you recover trust with down the line?
Right. Oh boy, you've asked a lot of questions inside one like big sentence. So let's talk about the five-step process to resolve the customer experience and that goes wrong, that moment of misery, what happens? And then I want to talk about the importance of fixing it and why doing it right is actually sometimes a problem is an opportunity to show how good you really are. Nobody is perfect, but if we pursue perfection, even though we're never going to get it, along the way, we're just showing that we're a great company that works hard. There's a famous football coach, American football coach, which means it's a little oblong ball that they throw, not just kick. Uh, Vince Lombardi said, he says, the pursuit of perfection. He was talking about that. He goes, it's like perfection is not attainable, but if you strive for perfection, excellence happens along the way, or something like that. And I thought, wow, that's actually true. So, first, five-step process. Number one and number two can go first or second, it doesn't matter. You acknowledge and apologize. Something happens, you must say, wow, I can understand why you're upset. I would be upset if that happened, or whatever the proper acknowledgement is. Right up front, let's just say, I am sorry on behalf of our company. This is not the way we like to do business. We need to make this right. That's step number three, the fix. The fix can happen right then and there, or it can be something that happens in the future, but you're going to tell the customer what it is you're getting ready to do. And again, if it can't happen right away, what the process of making it happen. Number four, it wasn't my fault, but I am now the person in charge. I own it. It's responsibility that I have. So you acknowledge, apologize, fix, and you own it. And then number five, you act with urgency. How fast can I get this resolved? Even if I can't do it right away, I'm starting the process of getting it done. And you add that sense of urgency, and oftentimes that's what takes it above just getting it fixed. So important. Customer has a complaint. Don't take it back to equal. You got to be better than that. And oftentimes it's just the attitude or the urgency you put in there. You don't have to do anything more than that. Sometimes you will, but keep that in mind. The goal is not to just fix a problem. This is going to go to something you asked in that long, multi-part question. The goal is not to just fix a problem, it's to restore confidence.
Yes.
So, and that happens when they go above and beyond. And at that time, you need to let that customer know. It's very important. We try to be perfect. We know we're not. But if you let us know when we're not, we will make it right. I want to train my customer to know that. I have one of my clients, and they are a B2B company. The short version of it is it's in the contract that if they do not inform the management of a problem, they can't complain about the problem. You just can't complain. That happened 3 months ago, or it's been happening all the time. It's like, no, we can't fix it if we don't know about it. So it's in the contract. And that guy is constantly asking his customers, are you honoring that part of the contract? We really, we don't just want to hear we're doing a good job. We want to hear when we're not. So that's really important. Reputationally, There's all kinds of forums, online forums, and even if you go to conferences, people talk about you. If you aren't doing a good job, your reputation will precede you. And so we need to make sure that's managed. If online somebody is leaving a negative review that can hurt your reputation, then this is how you fix it. First of all, I hope you don't have many bad reviews, but I was doing business with a jewelry store, my son getting engaged. I helped him go buy the diamond ring for his fiance. And this guy says, you need to check my ratings. He says, by the way, they're not all perfect, but you'll see that almost every one of them is. But pay attention to the ones that aren't. He was reading my book, singing my song. I don't know what, but he had no idea what I did. And when I looked at the ratings, he had a lot of them, by the way. About every 15 or 20, there was like, instead of a 5-star rating, it was a 1-star. There was like not much in between. It's like almost everybody loved him. But when we got to the one that didn't, boy, they nailed him. And then you saw what happened right after it. The comment that the store owner made, the effort that this gentleman made to get this person to come back and say, I am so glad that I mentioned that there was a problem. You fixed it. You took care of me. I'll be back. And that made me feel really comfortable about doing business with this guy. So reputationally, that's one thing that you can do. Something else you asked a few minutes ago, and I didn't mean like a politician to push it away and deflect. So let me get into it. You asked if things were different in South Africa or there's a way in that part of the world that might be different than what we do here in the U.S. And the short answer is no. Because at the end of the day, customers, regardless of any part of the world they're in, they would like to be happy when they spend money with you. That's just natural. And if you go all the way back to even when there's a complaint, the first complaint letter of all time was, and it's on display in the British History Museum. It's like a carved piece of stone or clay. I don't even know how you properly say the type of language or writing it's in, but it's carved in there. And it was this person who is complaining to a copper vendor about an inferior product and the way this vendor treated his employees. And it's like the first complaint letter. And I realized, you know what? People back then, they want to be happy. They have a complaint. They want you to fix it. And they just want to be happy. That's the way it is today. That's the way it's going to be 100 years from now or 4,000 years from now. Like when that was written, it doesn't matter if we're using new technology or old technology or just one-to-one, human-to-human no technology. This is what happens. And I believe that in Africa, or even if we go from South Africa to some of the other countries that may not be quite as developed, which I do work in, everybody knows what good service looks like. They've felt it before. And if they watch TV, they're somewhat westernized, if you will, to what a good service experience is. So guess what? They want it. They see what's out there. And so we must deliver. And the companies that do, regardless of whether they're just, they're a force of one within a large pool of really not so good, or they're one of many people that are out there, if you fault for one moment, if you let that customer walk away unhappy, they're going to go find somewhere else to do business with.
That's so true. If I just take a step back and ask you another question, what is the one thing you believe any organization could start doing tomorrow that would immediately improve their customer service? Taking into consideration now, you just said everybody knows what good looks like and they expect good. So no matter where you are in the world, this is an expectation. What is it that organizations can do?
Well, I'll have to say, I need to give you like a multi-part answer to this because there is one thing that you can do, but before you do that, you have to be prepared to do it. So 6-step process I talked about where you define your vision. Again, it starts with leadership. So it's cultural. Customer service is not a department. It's really a philosophy that has to run throughout the company. So once we understand and everybody's on board with we want to create a better experience, here's the one thing I want you to do. I want you to create the journey map. I want you to look at every interaction that customer has with you, every touch point, and say, is there anything that can make this better? Is there anything that goes wrong that we should fix to make sure we eliminate or mitigate that friction point? So do a journey map. and detail it. And by the way, most companies have multiple journey maps. The first time a customer buys from you, when they want to make a return, what happens if there's a complaint, when they're a repeat customer, when they're buying a certain product, there might be something different than if they buy online versus buying direct in store if you're a retailer. There's so many different versions of customer experiences. You've got to look at every one of them, and you've got to break them down and look at every touch point. Once you establish the touch points, look behind the scenes. What's happening that drives and impacts that touch point? I call these impact points. And there could be 10 things that have to happen. I'll give you an example in the most simplistic manner. If I fly on an airplane and I check my bag to go, on the plane, and I arrive at the city and I go to the baggage carousel and my bag is there, it's not like I checked the bag and now it's here. It's not like two things happened. Behind the scenes, there were a dozen things that happened. It went down the conveyor belt. Somebody looked at the tag, scanned it, put it in a pile, was put onto a cart. The cart was taken out to the airplane. The airplane, it was loaded. And there's lots of things that happen. All these little impact points drove that ultimate touch point, which is when I arrived and received my bag.
Perfectly said. I want to go into rapid fire right now.
All right, I'm ready.
So it's going to be quick, and we're going to start with service excellence in one word.
Consistency.
Oh, love, love, love. Loyalty or satisfaction?
Loyalty.
Most underrated customer experience skill?
Well, skill. It's a skill. All right. Boy, see, that's different. Yeah, you threw me on that one because the most underrated customer skill, I'm looking for the right word, but it's about response time. It's
responsiveness.
What's that? Responsiveness. Very good. That's what I'm looking for. And it's taught. It's responsiveness. Well, is that really a skill? You need to teach what responsiveness looks like and force people to deliver on it. For example, all messages returned within a certain period of time. That's a responsiveness skill that's taught.
100%. What is the biggest trust killer?
Just not doing what you say you're going to do.
Yeah.
You need one word. So I'll call that a lie. That's a very harsh word for not doing. If you say something like, I get it to you by 3:00 and it comes the day after 3:00, it wasn't like I truly lied to you. I just didn't deliver on my promise.
Well, it's still a lie, so you got it. One leadership behavior every service culture needs.
Vision.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. So, Shep, for those listeners out there who would like to learn more from you or connect with you or explore your work further, where's the best place to find you? Well, I found you everywhere.
Right. My website, hyken.com, and because several things. Number one, you get the free research. Number two, subscribe to my newsletter that's also free. Every week I send out a tip as well as a fun cartoon. And then if you want to go on my YouTube channel, go to sheptv.com. Shep, my first name, tv.com. And every week I post a video and more. Often I post more than one a week. And there's like 1,200 videos on there. A lot of tips and tricks to create a better experience.
What an amazing time I've had with you, Shep. And I know our listeners out there are going to thoroughly enjoy it as much as I have. Thank you for your time. And to those out there, remember, customers do not experience our intentions. They actually experience the standards and the behavior and the way we show up and the way we follow through. And Shep, you've really left many golden nuggets for us to take with us today. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for tuning in to the X-Engage podcast. We'd love to hear your thoughts. So feel free to leave a comment, share your insights, or start a conversation. If you found value in today's episode, we kindly ask that you give us a follow on our social media platforms for more CX content and subscribe to the podcast below so you never miss an episode. Until next time, keep creating exceptional experiences, one interaction at a time.
Leaders talk, we learn, we grow. Innovation's got that glow. To right yours to keep. CX dreams shining bright, bringing heart, mind, and light. Every interaction aligned just right.